It's Blendiful time. Hello, I'm Galinaka Keencat, and today we're going to be checking out this new Tati Beauty product called Blendiful. I recently reviewed Tati Beauty eyeshadow palette, and ever since I've been reaching for it again and again, so love it. And I was excited to try something new. And my original idea was to do half the face using Tati Beauty Blendiful, and I'm going to use face base, foundation, concealer, highlighter, all the regular stuff I usually do, and I want to do it on half of my face, and then on the other half I was going to use my trusted beauty blender and some brushes and my fingers, basically what I do today. But in the Tati's video, she mentioned that using a puff is a beauty industry secret. And I was like, does that mean something like that already exists? So, I went on Amazon and found this, which, by the way, only costs $4.69 compared to Tati Beauty Blendiful, $18. This one is, by the way, advertised as powder puff, but it looks very similar, just visually on the photo. So I want to open both of these packages, compare the softness and the size, proceed with my original plan, half and half face, and then wipe off what I did with the beauty blender and reapply it using these alternative puffs. If you like that idea, stick around, let's play. And it's open. And we get two puffs. This bigger one, and Tati was showing in her video that you can fold it to use on different areas of your face. It is very soft. It's going to be interesting. And then there's the smaller puff, which actually feels a little bit harder, maybe because of the size, and it's not as flexible, but it's still flexible enough to fold it. And it feels good to the touch. Nice, like it. Now let's open U-twin puffs. I'm trying not to screech into mic too much. And they are both made of polyester polyurethane. So the material is the same. Okay. They do feel different. They do not feel exactly the same. Also, the hair on Tati's puff a little bit longer. This puff is way more compact, and the size is obviously different. The small one is similar in size to the small Tati puff, and again, they feel different. But both feel pretty soft. I think the main difference is the hair length, because Tati's one is slightly longer, and this one is definitely more shaved. You know what? After I'm done with them, I'm also gonna throw them in the wash and see how they behave. So let's put these bad boys aside and start with this ones. More specifically, that. And first I'm going to apply the base. I'm going to list all the products I'm using in the description box. That way I don't have to describe each one of them and waste your time. So, this one I usually apply with my fingers. So, let's use Tati puff. So there's enough product left on the puff, but I can blend it onto my neck. Okay, now let's do the other side with just my fingers. Okay, I think the fingers are a little bit slower, puff is faster, so I give that to the puff. And also my fingers do not keep the product, so if I wanted to apply it to my neck, I'd have to grab some more, or I can grab the puff and put it on. Okay, next let's do concealer. Usually I'm actually using this one as a whole foundation, but this time I want to use a little bit thicker foundation just for the testing purposes. For that I usually use Beauty Blender, but let's use the puff first. Okay. Now let's use another concealer for the spot touch-ups. And for that, I usually just use my fingers again. Okay. I think for the teeny areas, I may still prefer the fingers, just because it gives me slightly more precision. But puff did blend it really nicely. It actually might have done too much. Okay, now let's do a foundation, and as I said, I specifically picked a thicker one. That's the one I use when I need a little bit more coverage when everyday life requires. And I want to go pretty generous, just for the sake of the test, and see if the puff can handle it. And actually it's staying pretty clean, so it absorbs products pretty well. So if I wanted to, I could use pretty much the same corner, which is nice. And you know what? I kind of liking it. Let me go over with a drier corner. And again, I can use the rest on my neck. I'm liking it. Okay, now let's do my regular routine, which is a combination of a brush and a beauty blender. And you know, I think the puff gave me more even coverage. Interesting. Am I imagining things? Now let's do the contouring. Not much. I usually don't like too much, and I usually don't use bronzer because on my skin it looks a bit too yellow. Okay, so I have to apply and then use a different part to blend it. One part to apply, one part to blend. Yeah, that's working. Okay. Now let's use a brush for the other side. Now puff definitely picked up more product, so the contouring on this side might be a bit more pronounced. And it also gave me a more blended effect. Okay. Now let's do a highlight. Okay. Jumpy. So brush picks up less product, or at least maybe that's just my brush. I just can't hold it today. Now let's add a little bit of shine. I kind of have to figure out how to use it in the middle of the face, so not to receive like the actual line line. Well, I do like what it absorbs the excess product, and I do like what it picks up enough product. So there are definitely advantages to using a puff. And now for the other side, I'll just use my finger, which does not absorb product, but gives me more precision. But I definitely need to tap a lot to get the product to absorb into my skin, unlike with the puff. Nice and shiny. Let's give it a bit of a blush. Oh yeah, it picked way more product than I usually use, but let's use the same technique we did before. And we apply and then we blend with a dry part. Yep, and it's working. And it's working. And now let's do what I usually do, and that is just slightly tap it. And my finger does not pick up as much product as the puff does, but also does not blend it as well. I wonder if the best use would have been a combination of my fingers and the puff. Maybe that's what I'll do in the future. Now I'm going to use this Paint Pot by MAC as an eyeshadow primer. By the way, I originally heard about this product from Tati and wanted to try it, and I actually like it. So let's use a small path for that. Once again, first apply and then blend with a drier corner. And that technique seemed to work the best with the puff. I'm not mad about it at all. Now let's use finger for the other one. Now, like, once again, my finger picks up less product, but it blends differently. And now let's put some setting powder. Normally, again, I use a brush, but here we're gonna use the puff. How many dry corners we still have? And if I flip this band, now we got almost the entire other side. And again, I'm applying product with one corner and then use a different corner. And I can use whatever product is left on my neck. So now let's do what I normally do, and that is dip the brush and peel off the excess, and then clean the table afterward. Okay, so the brush is more messy. The puff is actually better. I'm sold. At the minimum for the powder, but I think I'm sold pretty much for the entire face. Though I might still use my fingers for certain areas, but then blend it with the puff. So now let's wipe off this side and try the other puffs. Let's test them out. Base first. I don't think either of those puffs will fit into the can. Okay, it works for the base. It does feel different and it does not seem to be as absorbent. When I use Tati's Blendiful, there were no extra product left on my face. When I use this one, I can feel it. I can still feel like a little bit of a chill of the base still absorbing into the skin. I think you know the feeling. So let's do under eye. And I know this one is slightly different because it comes with its own path, but I always need to use the Beauty Blender to blend it. So let's use this bad boy. Yeah, this corner is very wet, so we definitely need to use a new corner. And this puff is smaller. Good thing they come in a set of 4, so if we run out of space on this one, we can use the other one. Okay, it took off the excess and it kind of blended it. So now let's use the touch-up concealer. Did blend it. So now let's go for the foundation. Either I'm imagining it, but I don't think it blends as well. Actually, I think it has to do with it being less absorbent. I'm getting way more extra product staying on my face, so I kind of have to tap with it almost as I'm doing with my fingers. So it looks very similar, but it's not the same product. Yeah, takes way longer. Now let's flip the band. Okay, it picked up enough product. It picked up a lot of product. Now let's see how it blends. Again, it kind of blends, but it takes longer. And it also does not blend as smooth as the other one. And I think it has to do with the length of the hair on the path, because this one is much shorter. Let's do some highlight. And I'm also running out of space. Now the blush. So I think you can do a job with it, but it's a little bit more hassle than the Tati Beauty. But on the other hand, these guys are not advertised as something you use for the entire face, and Tati's one is. Now let's use the eye primer. Quick note, this primer has highlighter built into it, so if you're looking for something that is just completely invisible, then this is not it. But if you're looking for the foundation for your eyeshadow and you don't mind a little bit of shine, then it's pretty good. Yeah, it did not blend as well. And again, like, let me do what I did with the Tati's. I think the short hair might be the problem. And again, like, if you keep tapping, you kind of can do the job with this, but it's more hassle. So, the powder. Now, this is advertised as a powder puff, so let's see how it does with an actual powder. Yeah, it does pick up a lot of product. That's a lot. And I even tried to wipe it, but it doesn't wipe easily. Well, it does work as a powder puff, but I think I prefer the Tati puff overall, including for the powder, because I think this longer hair texture and also bigger surface help a lot. The question is it worth the extra money? $18 versus $4.69. You be the judge, but to me, this is definitely better, and I am planning to be reaching for it. I'm also going to wash them and do an insert in this video just to see how it performs in the washing machine, because I'm extremely curious. So just washed all the puffs in the laundry bag. They're still a little bit wet. The small one is better. The big one is actually much drier. And your twin puffs also survived the laundry. So yes, they are machine washable. Now let me do the rest of my face and I'll be right back. So, it's a look. By the way, I did my eyes with a Tati Beauty palette. loves it. I do reach for it all the time these days. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about these Blendiful beauty puffs. My verdict, if they last, they're worth their price. If they don't, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing and see you next time.